The first thing Luke Mercer noticed beneath the faded canvas was a trembling hand hanging over the side of an abandoned wagon. Dust covered the pale skin, yet the fingers still moved, as if refusing to surrender. The Arizona desert was already burning beneath the early morning sun, and the lonely trail outside Red Mesa Ranch lay silent except for the slow chewing of a tired mule tied to the fence. Luke Mercer, a 48-year-old rancher, had spent the last 10 years avoiding people after losing his wife during a violent stagecoach robbery. He believed peace could only be found far from town, where trouble rarely traveled. But on that morning, trouble arrived without warning. There were no boot prints, no wagon tracks leading away, and no sign of the driver. Only a folded note rested beneath a leather strap. Luke opened it and found 3 chilling words written in dark ink. Paid, claimed, delivered. His heartbeat slowed instead of racing. He had never purchased anything except ranch supplies. Carefully, he pulled back the old canvas. A young woman lay curled beneath it, her dress torn by thorns, her wrists deeply scarred by rough rope, and dried blood marked one sleeve. She slowly opened frightened grey eyes and stared at Luke with the hopeless expression of someone who had forgotten kindness existed. Her cracked lips barely moved. "If you paid for me, please make it quick." Luke remained silent for a moment before reaching for the knife on his belt. The woman closed her eyes, expecting another nightmare. Instead, Luke sliced through the ropes around her wrists. "Nobody belongs to anyone on my land," he said quietly. She looked at him with disbelief. He offered her a canteen, but she hesitated before finally taking a careful sip. Without asking questions, Luke lifted her from the wagon and carried her into the cabin, placing her near the fireplace where fresh water and clean blankets waited. He stepped outside again and studied the wagon more closely. Something felt wrong. The wheels had been wiped clean, leaving almost no trail behind. Whoever abandoned it wanted Luke to find the girl, but never wanted anyone to follow them. Kneeling beside the axle, Luke discovered a small iron medallion hidden underneath the frame. The strange wolf-shaped symbol carved into the metal sent a chill through his body. He had seen that mark only once before, on the broken stagecoach where his wife had taken her final breath. His hands tightened around the medallion as old memories returned like ghosts. Looking back toward the cabin window, he saw the frightened young woman watching him, still unsure whether she had been rescued or simply delivered to another prison. Luke slipped the medallion into his pocket and made a quiet promise to himself. Whoever had left her here had chosen the wrong ranch, because this time he would uncover the truth, no matter how dangerous the road became. If you enjoyed this original Wild West story, subscribe to Western Store and ride into the next chapter with us. Luke Mercer left before sunrise with the iron medallion hidden inside his coat while the young woman remained safely inside the cabin. Before riding away, he placed fresh bread, water, and a loaded rifle on the table, then quietly removed the bullets and set them beside it. He wanted her to understand that survival did not always begin with violence. The ride to Red Mesa took nearly 2 hours through empty desert trails, where every shadow looked like it might be hiding an outlaw. His first stop was the freight office. The old clerk recognized the medallion instantly, but fear covered his face before he quickly looked away. After a long silence, he admitted that someone had secretly added a special delivery to Luke's recent supply order. No name had been written, only the symbol of the Black Wolf Circle, a criminal group believed to have disappeared years earlier. Luke demanded to know who approved the shipment, but the clerk only whispered one name, Victor Kane. Everyone in the territory feared him. Kane controlled smugglers, corrupt deputies, and desperate gunslingers who sold innocent people like cargo. Luke wasted no time and rode straight back toward the ranch. As the cabin came into view, he noticed the front door standing half open. His hand instantly reached for his revolver. Slowly he stepped inside and found the young woman hiding behind the kitchen table with an old shotgun pointed toward the entrance. The moment she recognized Luke, her hands began shaking. She lowered the weapon and apologized, explaining she had heard horses outside only minutes earlier. She finally revealed her name was Sarah. Through trembling tears, she confessed she had escaped after stealing a leather journal filled with names, payments, and secret deals linking Victor Kane to powerful men across the territory. That journal was now hidden beneath the cabin floor. Before Luke could ask another question, distant hoofbeats echoed across the valley. He stepped outside and counted 4 riders approaching through the dust. Their leader wore a black hat and calmly raised one hand as if greeting an old friend. "Morning, rancher," he called with a cold smile. "You've been keeping something that belongs to my employer." Luke stood firmly on the porch, without moving an inch. "People aren't property," he answered. The rider laughed before pulling a folded document from his saddlebag. "According to this paper, she is." Luke never even looked at it. "Paper doesn't decide what's right." The outlaw's smile disappeared. He slowly reached for the rifle hanging beside his saddle. "Then we'll settle this another way." Sarah appeared quietly in the doorway behind Luke. Clutching the hidden journal beneath her coat, she realized the fight had never been about her alone. It was about the secrets powerful men were willing to kill to protect. The wind carried dust across the ranch as Victor Kane slowly stepped down from his horse, his boots leaving calm, confident footprints in the dirt. His men spread out without speaking, believing the frightened ranch would surrender before the first shot. Luke Mercer stood firmly on the porch, one hand resting near his revolver, while Sarah remained inside the cabin with the leather journal hidden beneath her coat. Victor smiled as though he had already won. "Hand me the journal," he called. "And neither of you will be harmed," Luke answered without fear. "You came for paper, but what you're really afraid of is the truth written inside it." Victor's smile faded. He lifted his rifle, and the outlaws slowly moved closer. Before anyone could fire, a sharp whistle echoed through the valley. Riders appeared along the ridge above the ranch. The old freight clerk had finally found his courage and secretly warned the county judge, who arrived with honest deputies and several respected ranchers. Victor realized too late that his own crimes had brought witnesses together. Sarah stepped onto the porch and held the leather journal high for everyone to see. Inside were detailed records of stolen cattle, illegal payments, corrupt officials, and the names of every man who had worked for Victor Kane. The judge ordered the deputies forward. The outlaws tried to escape, but every trail was already blocked. A short gunfight ended almost as quickly as it began. Victor dropped his rifle and was placed in irons beside the very wagon that had carried so many innocent victims. As the sun climbed above the desert, Sarah finally breathed without fear for the first time in years. She thanked Luke, not because he had rescued her with a gun, but because he had chosen compassion when everyone else had chosen greed. Luke looked across the quiet ranch and realized that losing hope had almost cost him the chance to save another life. The lonely ranch no longer felt empty. The desert still held danger, but it also held new beginnings for those brave enough to protect what was right. As the wagon carrying Victor disappeared toward town, Luke hung the old Black Wolf medallion on the barn wall as a reminder that evil could wear many faces, but courage only needed one honest heart. If you enjoyed this original Wild West story, don't forget to subscribe to Western Store, where every trail hides a new mystery and every sunset begins another unforgettable adventure.